Okay. So hi, everyone. Most of you know that Janie and I have been investing in U.S. real estate ever since we discovered its incredible opportunities. I mean, where else could you acquire over 100 units of rental real estate in under 3 years, starting with only $50,000? And so this is our way to give back, to share it. And we'd like you to join us, not only on this training, but on future trainings as well, and share what you learn and what you see. We want to help you overcome your misgivings and help you find deals and financing to successfully invest from anywhere in the world in U.S. investment properties. So without further ado, let's get started. It is now 7, so let us begin. So let me share my screen. And we have a special guest on the call today. Again, we're going to do a mini JK deal reveal today. The training, we have a full-blown training ready for you, but still there's deals happening and we want to showcase them. So let us basically begin now. Okay, so here we go. Let me full screen this and get the party started here. So first of all, let's just make sure you can hear me. People who are in the Zoom, can you basically just write in the chat or raise your hand, do something just to let me know that you can actually hear me right now. Wonderful. Okay, there they are coming in. Fantastic. Hey, I can hear you. I can hear you. All good, all good, all good, all good. Thank you, everyone. So we have Amanda, our guest speaker for today. We have Dom, Wendy, Nico, Steve, and the whole crew is there. We're already over a dozen and so, and it's rising on the spot here. Okay, great. So let us begin. Welcome to JK's free monthly training. And of course it has to just stop right there. There we go. I'm back. Okay, welcome to JK's free monthly training. Last month, just a quick flash on last month. If you missed it, we talked about buying, fixing, and flipping remotely. So how do you do that from a different city, a different state, or even a different country, which most of you people on this call are Canadians looking to invest in U.S. real estate. So how do you do that? How do you turn trash into cash? If you missed it, you can probably still dig on our Facebook page or our Facebook group at Now for Tomorrow Club. Go dig it up. And all of our past trainings are also available in the Now for Tomorrow Club library. So just know that you can also gain access to them there. So basically, that's it. I want to immediately showcase Amanda. Let's get Amanda on here to speak a couple of minutes about what she's working on right now. So I am giving Amanda permission. Now you can unmute yourself.
Hello,
hey, Amanda,
can you hear me?
How are you doing?
Good.
Fantastic. So listen, Amanda, we're going to be talking about U.S. real estate this evening. Is that something that you've been that you're involved with right now?
Yes, I am, and it's going great. I just got a property, a duplex under contract just the other day, so it's going really well. And
Fantastic.
I haven't left Canada.
Right from Canada. Have you ever been to the U.S.?
I mean, I've been to the U.S., but not since I started doing real estate there. Haven't set foot in there for a while, so.
Fantastic. So get us a little bit excited, Amanda. Tell us a little bit about this duplex and why are you so excited about this particular opportunity?
Yeah, so this is a duplex, and I'm not familiar with Cleveland, but with the remote investing, I've become a lot more familiar with it from speaking to people who are in Cleveland on the ground. And so this is a property is sort of it's a duplex. It's 2,800 square feet. It's really in an up and coming area, sort of on the path of progress. The Metro it's right walking distance from the Metro Hospital, which is going through a big expansion right now. It's close to the Tremont area, the Ohio City. So it's sort of the next up and coming area. A lot of people in the Tremont and Ohio City, you can't really, that market is sort of saturated. There's not a lot of inventory, but where we've got the property. So yeah, it's sort of an up and coming area. So we're really excited about that.
Excellent. So tell us just a little bit about some of the numbers. I mean, are we kind of similar here? I mean, I just showed on the screen right now, we have a duplex in Canada, which, I mean, you know, a 500, 600, 700, maybe even $1 million duplex. If you're in Toronto and Vancouver, you'll see those type of numbers. And on the right here, we have a duplex, just like what you're talking about. And here I slapped on a $90,000 price point. Is that kind of where we're falling with your property?
Yeah, so this duplex is well below 100,000. Um, you know, it's a very big duplex as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's going to need a little bit of rehab, but again, we're hoping that after we rehab it, it's going to appraise for over 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking double-digit cap rates. Depending on the rehab, obviously, we'll see what the cap rate is, but you're looking at double-digit cap basically no matter what you do. So, and we're the thing I'm most excited about is seeing the potential for the short-term rental, which we talked about. Um, this is close to the hospital, walking distance. Um, it's great for traveling nurses, people who are needing to be close to the hospital for whatever reason. Maybe they're coming from out of town. And
Mm-hmm.
also its proximity just to those sort of up and coming areas. Well, not up and coming areas, the proximity to the already really hip and happening areas of Cleveland. So um, it's a great short-term rental potential. And so we're interested in that. And if that is successful, then the cap rate on this is just going to be exponential. So even at baseline with just getting in the long-term tenants, it would be great. But if we can turn this into a short-term rental potential, then it's just going to be, the returns are going to be crazy.
Sounds great. I love it. And so tell us a little bit about your exit. So it sounds like you want to buy and hold long term, and test out the short term rental opportunity and see how high up you can get this income. And so what's the exit strategy on this particular project?
Yeah, so we're looking at some options here. I think what we'll do is probably see if we can get financing for it and then get a cash out refinance and then recapture our capital.
Hmm,
So sort of doing the BRRRR strategy is what I
awesome.
hope to do. Yeah.
Good answer. Excellent, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. How do you actually, what are the steps that are involved in the BRRRR process? That's today's topic. That is JK's free trainings here. So, oh, sorry. Amanda, thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, Obviously, we're working on this together, and we're very excited to get this going. And with the short-term rental twist in there, that's just fantastic. So, is there any final words for the listeners who are listening in now and who are going to listen in on the recording as well?
Yeah, I mean, start now, do it. It's fun, and when you get your property and you can BRRRR it, it's just it's gonna bring you so much enjoyment. It's gonna make you excited. So yeah, just get started and do it.
Awesome. And I know you're quite savvy in the Instagram world. If someone wants to get a hold of you, what's your handle?
It's I'll write in the chat, but it's Miss Amanda Bertrand.
Amanda Bertrand. All right, so everyone, now and forever, she is there. So thank you, Amanda. Hope you're going to stay
Thank
for the
you.
training, but appreciate it, and let's just go get that miracle for you. All right, fantastic. So let's go on into a little bit of housekeeping. So how is this going to happen? Although you're probably used to Zoom webinars by now, but you're in attendee mode. I can't hear you. If you have a question, put in the Q&A. If we have time, I'll get to questions. But honestly, today is going to be jam-packed because the BRRRR strategy is actually one of the topics that we do during our USA workshop, our full weekend workshop. The BRRRR strategy is one of those strategies that we really spend a lot of time on. And so this is kind of a thorough excerpt of that weekend training. It's such a fundamental topic, and it's a pretty cool strategy, and you'll see why. So use the chat to talk between each other, not to me, or for technical difficulties. And any questions, let's try to focus that on in the Q&A section. Fantastic. I see the chat is blowing up already. So Amanda's put her contact info in there for Instagram. So this is a safe learning environment. So let's be respectful at all time. And like Amanda's doing right now, let's just have some fun. How's that sound? All right. So who is JK? Real quick. This is JD Grenier, my spark, wife, business partner, president, CEO. Amazing, amazing. Not able to be with us tonight, but she says, don't spend your boat on a train And this is me, Kyle Dooland, Vice President and partner in crime, Janie's partner in crime. We've started all of our businesses together, and it's just such an amazing ride when you're able to find the people to build your life, to build your friendships, to build all your ships with, your partnerships, your friendships. It's such an amazing thing to have, and I encourage you to actively seek all those ships that are going to bring you à bon port, bring you to where you want to go. So the world is your muscle. It's time for you to flex, because you can think all day. If you don't take action, it ain't going to happen. So that's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to present a couple of deals here, okay, and they all have a common thread. All right, this was the very first property that we purchased when we got started in U.S. real estate investing. Single family home. We bought it for a very cheap amount, and today it's worth quite a bit more comparatively, and there's some good cash flow on that. The second property we bought was this one here. We purchased it a little bit more, did about the same rental rehab amount. It's worth more after we worked it, and there's cash flow. Then, fast forward a little bit, we did another property. Here it is. And this is another one. Boom, boom, and boom. So what are some commonalities here? The commonalities are that we bought it low, and it was worth a lot more after we did some work into it. There's cash flow, but the common thread and the topic of today is that, oh, there was another one, sorry. And then there's this one too, basically the same thing. But the commonality is that we did it all in our first year, and we employed the BRRRR strategy to do it. We used the same money to buy all these properties. We did the first property, and then we used that money and bought the second one, and then we used it again, we bought the third one, we used it again, we bought the fourth one. All right, how did we do that, right? Well, this is a good place to start, okay? The training's on this, but we have a free ebook if you haven't downloaded it already. It's what we did in our first year of investing, and the BRRRR strategy was a big part of it, okay? So how do you get the ebook? nowfortomorrow.club/ebook. It's free. That brings you to our website. There's other free stuff on our website, nowfortomorrow.club/ebook. Go get it there. But today's training is this BRRRR, okay? BRRRR, it's the coolest wealth recycling system in the world for real estate investors. Okay, well, it's kind of a play on words here. It's pretty cool. Is it the coolest? I don't know, but it's a pretty darn cool one. So what is it? Tell me. Well, bottom line, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you what it does. Is that if you don't have a strategy or a system to continuously recycle your capital, you will eventually run out. No matter how cheaply you buy the properties, no matter how much they cash flow, the numbers don't make it such that you can just continuously buy. You will run out of money eventually. If you're really good at finding and buying properties, you're going to run out. So we need a way to recycle the capital. Once the capital is in, you want to be able to get it out as quickly as possible or as effectively as possible. And this is through the BRRRR. The BRRRR is one way you can do this. So when you buy a property and your intent is to hold it, all right, you want to buy a property and hold it long term. You're not looking to sell, basically. You're not looking to fix and flip. You're looking to buy and hold long term. You can either buy something that is turnkey, meaning you don't need to do any work to it. You buy it, maybe it's already tenanted, and hopefully you're buying at a discount with cash flow day one. Or you buy a fixer-upper, something you have to buy, do work to, and then hopefully it's at a discount, you have equity in it, and it's cash flowing, okay? But I'm just gonna say that there's a difference with the BRRRR strategy. It'll be very, very, very difficult to BRRRR quickly anyways, a turnkey property versus a fixer-upper, okay? So the BRRRR strategy that I'm gonna be talking about, in 95% of cases, it involves a fixer-upper. It involves buying a property that needs rehab, that needs some work. It doesn't have to be 100,000 of work, but I would say basically a minimum of 15,000 is what you should aim for if you're going to do the BRRRR strategy. So what is this BRRRR strategy? Tell me more. Okay, so I had the clicker and it wasn't on. That's why there was, anyways, we're good. We're back. So the BRRRR strategy, BRRRR, is an acronym. It's a 5-step system. The B is you have to buy a property. And how do you buy a property right? Refer back to the ebook, listen to these free trainings. That's number one. The second stage, the first R, is you need to rehab it. You have to fix it up. And after you fixed it up, well, this is a buy and hold strategy. You're going to rent it out. And hopefully, the goal is you've done your numbers, so there's going to be some cash flow so that it pays off all expenses, and then there's even some left over even after everything. Then we're going to refinance it. Refinance. This is the key element of the BRRRR strategy. You're going to go to a lender, a bank, a financial institution, or private lenders, wherever your refinance capital is coming from, and you're going to say, hey, I've got this asset, which is real estate. It's worth, say, $100,000. How much can you put a mortgage on? Okay, or refinance it at a higher LTV to pull out some capital, pull out some equity. Okay, and if you do this correctly with the perfect property, when you refinance, it will give you back the money you put in to buy it and to renovate it. Okay, so if this cycle is done with the perfect BRRRR property, you can then recuperate all the capital you put in. So you still have an asset, but you have all the capital. So you can use that capital to buy another one. And if that next property you buy is another good or perfect BRRRR property, you can buy it, to renovate it, to rent it, to refinance, get all your money back, and repeat and repeat and repeat. So this is, in a nutshell, the BRRRR strategy, the coolest way to recycle and grow your wealth through real estate. This strategy applies anywhere, everywhere in the world. So long as you can refinance, you can do this cycle. But we're specialized in U.S. real estate investments because it's a lot easier, we find, to find these BRRRR strategies, these BRRRR properties, and BRRRR properties that actually have very small purchase prices in comparison to what you might find in your local market. So that's what it is. So the first part of a BRRRR project starts much like a rehab, much like a flip project. So you're going to start with something that needs work. So this is a property that we ended up BRRRRing. It was the last one of our first year. We call it the Quilliams project. And this is what it looked like when we bought it. Okay? It needed love. It needed work. It needed capital. There was a little hole in the ceiling. All right? A little bit of duct tape fixed that. But I'm kidding. But like this, it's a project, right? Don't forget that a BRRRR is still a rehab project. So everything that goes along with that, and there's a lot of fun, but there's going to be a lot of learning if it's your first time. Not to be afraid of that, but just to be cognizant and to lean into it, right? To expect things to start leaking out of the ceiling. Okay. So step one is you buy the property. Step two is you rehab the property. When the property's finished, rather than selling it, because that would be a fix and flip, we're going to rent it. So in this example, we rented the property to a tenant who paid $12.50 a month. That's step three. Step four, now we have an asset with equity because we bought it right, that has strong cash flow. You go to a bank, they love lending on real estate that has good numbers. So they had it appraised. The property's ARV, the after repair value of the property after we were done with it, was $107,000. And they said, okay, well, we'll give you a mortgage of 65% of what it's worth. That's the LTV, the loan to value. So what do the numbers look like on a BRRRR, on this particular project, but on a BRRRR project? So you have the project. You need to buy, rehab, and there's some holding costs, closing costs and holding costs during the rehab portion. While you own the property, you have to pay the taxes, you have to pay the insurance, you have to, you have to close, like the equivalent of the notary fees, the title company fees, the closing costs. Those are all what I'm bulking into closing and holding costs. So let's say you buy for 20, you rehab for 40, and there's 5 of other costs during the rehab period. So 65,000 for the project. But when we were done with it, it was worth 107. The bank is willing to refinance at 65% of its value, which is now 107, which means that they're going to place a mortgage of 69,500. But if you bought this cash, if you did the $65,000 project cash, they're going to give you 69,500 back at refinance. You put in 65 and they give you back 69.5. All right. There's a little bit of refinance cost to do that second refinance. So let's say there's $3,000 in fees to do that process. But at the end of the day, they give you $69,500, but there's $3,000 in cost. So really they're giving you $66,500, but you put in $65,000. So you come out of this process, hopefully 2 to 3 months later, let's say 3 months later, and you have $1,500 more in your bank and a property with, in this case, $42,000 of equity. That shows up on your balance sheet, right? That adds to your net worth. You have bought money, you have bought equity and cash flow. Okay, so long as the numbers work, but in this case they do. How would you like to get paid to buy property? That's pretty cool, right? Okay, so next I'd like to talk about a cash on cash return, okay? The cash on cash formula basically says how much did you make, and you divide it by the money that you have in the deal, okay? So in this 3-month period with this BRRRR project that I'm talking about here, how much did you actually make after the 3 months? The $1,500 at the end, right? You had put in $65,000 and you got back $66,500. So you netted $1,500 in, you netted $1,500. That's your profit up on those 3 months, plus the equity and the cash flow. I'm just talking about that little payout. And how much, and you divide that $1,500 by the capital, the money that you have to leave in the deal. How much money did you have to leave in the deal? 0. You got it all back, right? So the cash on cash for this project is $1,500 divided by 0. What happens when you divide by 0? Okay, you got multiple explosions on multiple different analyses. However you look at this, this is looking like a pretty good deal, right? But wait, what is the last R of the BRRRR? Remember, the BRRRR is first you buy it, then you renovate or you rehab, then you rent it, then you refinance, and then what's the last step? I think you're saying it. Yeah, everyone in the chat is blowing up here. You repeat, of course. Having way too much fun here. Okay, so that's basically what it is. And the first, that was with a cash transaction, right? You go through all those steps, but you had the $65,000 to go from start to finish, all with your own money, okay? I'm going to go through it again, but faster this time. Well, no, I won't say faster. I don't want to scare you. But I'm going to go through it, but I'm going to glance over. What if you went into it with financing? All right, you actually had to buy the property with a down payment, and the bank financed you to buy it, and maybe you had the renovation costs financed as well. Maybe you have hard money in there. There's some kind of leverage or financing to actually enter into the BRRRR strategy, okay? So we're going to use the same example. So we're going to buy a property for $20,000. We're going to renovate it for $40,000. At the end, it'll be rented for $1,250. We're going to refinance it. It's going to be worth the same, $107, and the bank is still going to refinance, cash us out 65% of its value. Same thing, right? But this time we're just going to go in with financing. So what's going to change in that particular scenario? So it's going to cost us a little bit more to do that. It's going to cost us more upfront, and it's going to cost us more during the project. Why? Because there's a lender involved, okay? And there might even be a broker involved too, who found you the lender. So there's going to be lender and broker fees to find you the money, to find you the financing. Okay, they're not going to work for free, and they're providing a service, so they will charge what we call points. So lender points, hard money lending points, or broker points, which is a fancy way to say they just take a percentage of the money they find you. So if they find you for a project like this, the $65,000, they will take, say, 3% or 5% of the amount they found you, okay? So let's say in this example, the points come up to $2,000. Well, that's going to be added onto what you owe. It's going to be rolled into the loan. Don't pay points up front, and certainly never pay for the promise of money. Okay, all those fees can be rolled into the loan, and that's fine. It's a service. It's well worth it if you know what you're doing. And it's well structured. It's a good deal, but don't pay up front someone who says, yes, I can find you money. Okay, don't do that. So that's fine. So that's one. But then you have a loan you have a mortgage while you're doing the renovation. So, and those loans are going to be higher than your the 1.85% that we see as a homeowner in Canada right now, right? Crazy low rates. It's going to be in the regular short-term rehab loan rates, which is going to be right around the 10%. Okay. Yeah, you can find lower sometimes and you can find higher sometimes. So when you get into that, a 10%, I'm just telling you, a 10% is a very okay amount. And you're going to see why it's perfectly okay. Are you okay paying?
On the right.
Oh, I'm better mute whoever that is. There we go. Amanda wants part of this action. No problem. I just muted you. No problem. So are you okay paying 10% to someone or to a bank? And on the back end, you make 20%, 30% on that money, 50% on the money. Would you be okay with that? Right? That's the point. It's not how much it costs, but how much value you get from paying that amount. So value versus cost. So having said that, let's say during those 3 months where the project took place, it costs you in interest on that loan $1,000. Well, that's a real cost on the project's total. So that's 3,000 more in this particular example, and things went well. If you're in and out in 3 months, it was a very good project in my books. Yes, you always want to aim for faster, but sometimes stuff happens. Contractors fall sick, they fall behind, whatever reason. But it's very important that you don't drag it on when you have these type of financings in place, because it's at a higher interest rate. So if instead of being there for 3 months, the loan is in place for 3 months, it's there for 6 months, well, instead of 1,000 of interest, it'll be 2,000 of interest, okay? And that is going to eat up in your profit. Same thing, these are short-term loans, these fix and flip loans. So you don't want to dilly-daddle. Some lenders lend for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I'm telling you, don't put yourself in a corner with a very tight balloon period like that. It's not worth the stress. Okay, so even a 9 months, I would say you better be very comfortable with stress and what ifs, and very resourceful. If you need to be, you have the time to devote to that. So I would say find a lender who has 12 months. You can find them with 12-month terms. The goal is to be in and out in 3 months. I'm telling you, the target is 2.5 months. Okay, make it happen. Aim for that. But what if something happens? Okay, what if there's a COVID and suddenly you can't visit people, or people don't want to buy in that particular, the outbreak of a pandemic? Right? There wasn't very much selling between like March and May, right? There just wasn't. It was all on a standstill, because there are things that are completely out of your control. So I'm going to start harping on it. I'm going to say is be careful of balloons. Balloons are when a loan becomes due at a fixed point in time and then you owe the whole amount. Okay, so be careful with that. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so it's going to cost you a little bit more if you're using financing for these reasons. If this is not a free property, you still have to put a down payment. And I'm going to give you just a conservative line. If you have 35% of the project, you'll be able to find financing on a good deal. That's for sure. Now, the trick is to try to get that down payment as low as possible. Okay, and then you can shop around, you can negotiate, you can be more creative in the deal structuring. But if you're just going in with vanilla hard money financing, figure for 35% and you won't have a problem. So in this case, 35% of 65,000, we're right around the 25,000 range. That's what you would need as a down payment to make it happen. So the appraisal comes in the same, the lender's going to refinance the same, which means that the mortgage they're going to give you at the end when they refinance the property is still going to be the same. They're still going to give you $69,500 back. But there's refinance costs, which means they're going to pay you, they're going to actually wire or they're going to send to clear off any other mortgage, $66,500. But if you do the math, It no longer costs you $65,000 for this project. It costs you 68, but they're sending back 66.5, which means you're going to have to pay or leave 1,500 in the deal. Okay, that's what that means. And now you're starting to see why, if you dilly-daddled on the rehab and your interest now is 3,000, okay, well, that might seem like a small change up front, but on the back end, there's a big difference, I think, between leaving 1,500 in the deal and leaving 3,500. That's more than double what you're leaving in. So just be cognizant of that, okay? So this is not what we'd call a perfect BRRRR. I'll be very honest with you. For the last year, it's been very difficult to find perfect BRRRR properties. So leaving 1,500 in a deal is still a very nice BRRRR in my book, so long as you still bought at a discount and have cash flow. But I'm just saying, the goal is to aim to leave as little in the deal as possible. Okay, so the question becomes, does buying a property and for 1,500 excite you, right? If all that's left in the property is 1,500, and now you have a property, you've added 42,000 of net worth on your balance sheet, and you're cash flowing every month, is that something that excites you? Yes, absolutely. Good. Cha-ching. Everyone, I think you're on board with that. So it's very exciting, very, very exciting. It should excite you. But buying low is not the most important thing. I've been mentioning it, I've been foreshadowing a bit hard. Because there's the first golden rule of real estate is buy under what it's worth. Buy equity. Okay, so we got that covered. If you read the ebook and the section on the BRRRR, you have MAO, okay, your maximum allowable offer. And if you follow that, by default, you are buying equity. You're satisfying the first golden rule of real estate. But the second rule of real estate is cash flow. Every time you buy an asset, you want to be buying cash flow so that you're never, well, everything you buy is just building you stronger and stronger, and you can buy as many of those as you can possibly find and structure. That's the goal. So this brings us to analyzing the cash flow of a BRRRR property. How do you do that? Well, to analyze the cash flow of a property, I'm going to breeze through it because I've talked about this in the buy and hold free trainings, and I harp about this nonstop during the USA workshop. But this is how you do it. You put all the income of the property, all the income it generates. What is it? In this case, it's just a traditional long-term rental. So it's rented at $1,250 a month, which is $15,000 a year. That's all the income. And then you add up all the expenses, right? So you add up the shit, the stuff, the utilities, the maintenance, the management, the insurances, and the taxes, okay? And then you subtract the income from the expenses, and you're left with the NOI, the net operating income, which is how much is left before you pay a mortgage, by the way, before you pay a mortgage. But there's a mortgage payment. In this particular example, we're right around the $500 mark on the example for this BRRRR property, which means that you have principal and interest payments, that mortgage payment in 1 year of $6,000. So your NOI is $7,500, your mortgage payment is $6,000 in the year, so you're left with $1,500 a year, which is $125 a month. That's after paying all expenses. You go through all of SUMMIT with 3 M's, you're including the mortgage, and you have a cash flow at the end, which includes a buffer and $100 maintenance per month as well built into that. So if you weren't building in a maintenance budget and an oopsie budget, we'd be at $250 a month of cash flow even after the mortgage on this property. But maintenance is a real expense that just comes out over time. So the second golden rule of real estate, buy cash flow, and I recommend that you buy properties only with a minimum of $100 per month cash flow after if you have a mortgage. If you have a mortgage that you have to pay, even after paying all expenses, mortgage included, $100 a month. So this satisfies the second golden rule of real estate and the first. So that's why I would think it's a good deal. What is the cash on cash analysis in this situation now? Because there's financing, okay? Well, at the end of the project, you are actually, yes. So at the end of the project, it's $1,500. of cash flow. Okay, this is the cash flow analysis, the cash on cash analysis, but 1 year into the hold. So let me just to clarify here. So now in 1 year with this property, you have a cash flow of $1,500 a year. 125 a month is 1,500 a year. Okay, and you divide it by the capital left in the deal. In this particular project, we have to leave 1,500. Now it's just a weird fluke on the numbers, but we leave 1,500 in the deal. So we made 1,500 of cash flow, but we have to leave 1,500 in the deal. So your cash on cash, one divided by the other, 100%. Okay, you divide it 100%. So it's 100% cash on cash return. You're getting that, even though you left 1,500 in the deal, you're getting it back in 1 year. That's what that means, 100% cash on cash return. So very good. We're on time here. Hopefully that wasn't too quick. There's only so much I can do in 1 hour, right? So that's really why we have the full trainings and all the other trainings that build up. So if I'm going a little fast, maybe the other trainings are what you need to build up to staying on point. But I'm pretty sure there, and you can always re-listen to me in slow-mo if you want, or faster if I'm not talking fast enough. But let's do just a quick recap. The BRRRR strategy, if you do it cash, this is what happened. We needed $65,000 to get the deal, to get the whole project done. When we were done, there was $1,500 of cash flow per year. We got all of our money back, and it was an infinite cash on cash return. In that example, if we used financing, hard money to get it done, we needed a little bit more. We needed $68,000. We still had the cash flow at the end, and we left $1,500 in the deal. So our cash on cash was 100%, not infinite, 100%. But there's a big difference in the risk. Because you're putting in an extra variable, that financing, which, you know, if the project lasts longer, it'll chew up more of your profit. If the balloon gets called, if you run out of time, there's stress. There's one extra major gear involved, and don't underestimate that gear. We just don't want it to be underestimated. So there's a risk factor as well. So if you were to get started and you had the capital, I would recommend you do your first deal cash. Learn the gears, learn what you can with just that one removed, okay? But if you don't have the capital and you absolutely want to get started, you have to get started, that's fine too. It's not a bad way to do it with hard money, not at all, but just know that there's an additional twist that you have to be aware of. And if you're doing it alone, you don't have a mentor or someone to guide you, someone to coach you through it, you know, just know that it is more risky. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but it is more risky. Okay, but after you're done, you have a beautiful property, fully renovated, cash flowing. You've built up your net worth, and hopefully your net worth in the process too. But that is the result of a BRRRR property and the BRRRR strategy. There are tools and resources that you might need to plug and play. If you re-listen to this and then you have this property, wait a minute, how did he know that rent was going to be $1,250? All right, I don't have time to go through all of these resources today, but I go through it in the workshop. But there are tools online. There are websites where you can estimate the rent of a particular zip code, city, street, address, and you can play around. So that's one good way to estimate it online. Okay, well, how did I know the mortgage was going to be $500 on that property? Well, there's calculators for that. There's calculators on your phone that you can get apps for, and there are websites. I love the CCH website for the mortgage calculator. What else would you need? You need to know what the taxes are, right? So go to county records or on Net or Online, which is the public records of the United States, of all the counties together. Once you get to understand how you can navigate that, you can basically look at information across the US within a matter of minutes, which is pretty sexy. Insurance, just a rule of thumb for you. Insurance, estimate about $600 a year for each $100,000 insured. It actually went up a little bit during COVID, this number. and this is a single family home quote. Duplexes, triplexes will be a little bit higher, a couple hundred higher. Maintenance, just a maintenance budget, make sure you budget it in here. I like to put $50 per month per unit. If it's a, well, if it's a single family or a duplex, $100 a month for the building, and if it's larger than that, $50 per unit per month, just to factor it in there, because you will need to fix, clean gutters, service furnaces, fix leaks, et cetera, et cetera. Property management, 10% of collected rents is a good placeholder. Utilities, this one you'll have to rely on your property managers. You could call up the utility companies and ask for the usage on that particular property before you buy it, or ask the seller for their utility bills. I would even ask them 12 months in advance, or even 24 months in advance if there's something that you think is off. You'll get to know what the utility usage in your city looks like or costs over time. So that's basically it. So the secret is out, right? If we're just going to compare properties in Canada versus the US, in Canada, don't know if you knew this, but if you basically close your eyes and just start picking properties at random across Canada, you're going to find cap rates of 3 to 4%. Okay, that's what the average is in Canada. In the US, you do the same exercise. You close your eyes and you start picking properties at random. You will find some properties, like if you're in San Diego, California, that'll be a 1-2 cap, all right? Just like in Toronto or Vancouver. But on average, you're going to be in the 6 to 8% range, okay? And in other markets, like the markets that we're in for our buy and holds, the average is 8 to 10. And then we're not average, or I hope you're not planning on being average. So there is some tremendous upside when you specialize in niche investments within a better market. That's where you can really tap into 10+ returns, or even higher cash on cash returns. Like the BRRRR strategy. If you do a successful BRRRR, you're not at a 10% ROI, return on investment. You're not on a 10% cash on cash return. You're at an infinite. You're above a 200% return on investment, right? You're infinite. You got all your money back, and you have money coming in month after month after month. That is the name of the game. I mean, what else can I say? I think that's pretty sexy. So Canada, US, and then specialized investments in the US. Just like Amanda's looking to do, okay? Amanda's on fire. That particular property is well under market, in the path of progress. It's actually in an area that is developing, and some of those properties have doubled and tripled in value in the last 12 months because it's right along that development zone. And that hospital that she was referencing is, I think, tripled in size. And basically everything within a radius there just shot up, basically doubled in value, tripled in value as well. So she's right in that path there with that duplex. So buying the equity. Cash flow. Is it cash flowing? Yeah, she said it herself. Even if we put 2 long-term tenants because it's a duplex, we're at over a 10 cap. Wonderful. That's fantastic. 2 golden rules of real estate satisfied. But that's not good enough, is it? She's looking to BRRRR it out. Once it's done, she's going to refinance, get all of her capital back, hopefully make it an infinite return on investment project, and keep cash flow, get all of the money back, and buy another one. But that's not enough. She wants to ultra niche it out by testing one of the two as a short-term rental. Because of the proximity to the hospital and the proximity to Ohio City and Tremont, which are the hippity-hoppity areas of Cleveland on the west side, there will be demand for short-term rentals, and the hospital for medical professional. So half of that duplex is going to be short-term rental, and the other half is going to be long-term. And why not both short-term? Well, she's going to see what she prefers, right? She's going to test it out. She has a property that can do that. She's going to test it out. She's going to see what she likes more. And obviously there's management in place to handle the long-term and the short-term, which are not the same. Not the same managers do that. It's really a niche management for the short-term rentals. So pretty cool. Congratulations, Amanda. So if I were to recap what we learned, what Janie and I learned through the BRRRR strategy since we've begun investing in US real estate, well, this is what I'd tell you. I'd say you make your money when you buy. especially with the BRRRR. You make your money when you buy, because not every deal is a deal. And how do you know if a deal is a deal? Go back to the ebook, nowfortomorrow.club/ebook, and refer to the MAO formula. Okay, I think it's chapter 3 or 4. And we just recently revamped it. So even if you've downloaded it last year or 2 years ago or even 3 months ago, we revamped it. There's new sections, there's new colors, so it's there. So you can re-download it if you want. The MAO formula, which is the maximum allowable offer. It's a quick formula that allows you to identify what is the most I can offer for this property so that my BRRRR is going to be perfect on the back end. Okay, it's the reverse engineering of finding and creating a perfect BRRRR property. Okay, that's number one. Number two, do not attempt to do a BRRRR for properties that are worth under $75,000 after you fix them up. You can buy them for 70. That's no problem. I think actually Amanda's property is being purchased under 75. That's not a problem. But after you've done the work, it has to be worth above 75. Why? Because it's going to be a lot easier to find a bank or a refinance lender to actually do the refinance. When their loans are small, it's not worth their trouble to do it. It's the same work for them to underwrite a $100,000 loan as a $2 million loan almost. So there's that. And if I'm giving you their point of view, and if you were to not pay them, you were to default on that mortgage, they would have to foreclose on you to gain their security. That's how it's not a complete loss to them. And going through that legal process with the attorneys and the paperwork and the time to recuperate only something that's worth $60,000, it's not worth the trouble. So it's very difficult to find a lender who will want to refinance a property that's worth under $75,000. If you are really gung-ho on doing this, I'm not going to stop you, okay? I chased that golden egg for a long time as well in the first year. I called hundreds of lenders and banks and across, okay? And I did find some who then a year later no longer did it. So if you are going down that rabbit hole, fine. You have my okay. You have this JK stamp of approval. So long as you find 3 that give you firm pre-approvals that they'll do it, okay? That they understand that you're foreign national, that how you're doing business, the property, etc. And you have 3, okay, fine. I really don't want you to be stuck, ready to refinance. You did everything right, and then no one wants to refinance you, okay? We've been in a position like that with a property, and it's not as pleasant. We squeezed out of it, but if you find 3 up front, the chances that happen are going to be very small. So that's number 1 or number 2. So if it's not under 75, what is it? Aim for properties that are valued above 100,000 after you've done all the work. So that property that I showed you appraised at 107,000. That is perfect. Okay, that is right in the sweet spot. The sweet spot is to be just as high, just above 100,000, but not too high. Okay, because if it's too high, then you have a bigger mortgage, and that might eat up in your cash flow. Okay, so it's really a sweet spot. Aim for 100 to 110. Aim for that. A lot of lenders, if you fall like at 96, all right, they'll say, okay, we'll work with you, all right? We'll charge you 4,000 more and make your mortgage a little higher, right? They'll work with you. So aim for over 100. If you fall a little below, know that that particular lender might be ultra strict or might have leniency. But once you get under the 100,000 mark, there's a lot of lenders that just say no. And so between the 75 and 100 mark, you're going to dwindle down your options significantly, okay? So over 100, I'm going to say is easier, okay? Relatively, but easy. 75 to 100, it goes from easy to difficult, okay? And under 75, it's like darn near impossible. It's improbable if you didn't plan it ahead of time that you'll pull it off. Okay, so that's that. That's 3. 4, remember that there is still a rehab involved, okay? Which means there's still contractors involved. There's still project management involved. There's a time commitment. You have to follow up and keep an eye on your progress and on your timeline, especially if you're getting in with leverage, because speed is a big factor. If you don't do it quickly and do it well, it's going to eat up your profit on the holding costs, and there's a balloon on the back end. So there's a lot of pressure points, if you will, or a lot of, I don't want to say things that can go wrong, but there are more gears to manage at the same time. So just know that you want it done quickly and you want it done well. And as a remote investor, we're not as present as we'd like to be, so we have to make sure we have people on the ground. So do you have a project manager on the ground? Is your property manager a project manager? Not necessarily the same thing. When Janie and I are in the US, we sometimes project manager. We're looking to do more project management once we're back in the States after COVID and things open up and we get our visa and all that. But just know that you need trusted people on the ground. You should have trusted people on the ground if you're going to get involved into rehab projects. That's what I'm going to say. And what else did we learn? There's a big difference between having a strategy for money now and a strategy for money later, okay? Most people listening they probably have a job, right? That's money now, right? You need that money to survive. You need it right now. If you stop, you're working now so that in 2 weeks you have a paycheck. So that's money now. The BRRRR strategy, although you are creating cash flow, say that property gave 125 US, by the way, so that's like 3,000 Canadian, but you got some cash flow coming in, which is money now, yes, but that's not going to change your life. 125 isn't going to allow you to just stop working right now, okay? Know that it'll take some work, it'll take some time to build up enough of these small $125 cash flows so that you have enough to say, my money now is handled. So while you're building your money later, which is the buy and holds, and a little bit of the money nows, just be very careful about when you decide what you're doing and why you're doing it. So where is your money now coming from? Is it from flips? Is it from, I don't know, some multi-level marketing you're doing? Is it from your job? Where's the money now coming from? Because the money now has to be coming in from somewhere. If it's not real estate, it needs to be somewhere. Janie and I, basically, we had 42 units of cash flow before we said our money now is covered, okay? And arguably, that might have been a little bit too early. If it had been me, oh no, good thing Janie's not here. If it had been me, it would have been fine. But Janie likes to spend a little bit more, okay? No one knows that. So it was a little too early, okay? So it made for a tougher transition when it didn't need to be so tough. We could have just waited for a couple more, or she could have spent a little less, potato, right? But anyways, money now or money later. That is definitely something we learned with the BRRRR, because we BRRRR. We're adding these small cash flows. When you decide to quit your job, that is a big chunk of money now that is no longer there. And if you're continuing the lifestyle of that, just know there might be some adjustments. You are maybe financially free from that point, but maybe not with the same lifestyle. So that is a very real truth that I'm sharing with you, but it's not impossible. Just know that it's there, plan for it, and buy another 10. I mean, what do you want me to say? That's how you do it. So, and then voila, right? Money now or money later. What are your goals? Why are you doing this? I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for Janie. And to develop her tremendous potential as a human, to help the world, to travel, to really have a significant impact. Real estate is only but one of our vehicles of wealth creation. And obviously we just came back from our basically 3-month honeymoon in Thailand. It was amazing. I recommend. And yeah, traveling to Thailand right before a pandemic is the perfect time. You get tuk-tuks and discounts, and it's amazing. It was amazing. We could have stayed there. We almost did. But that's it. Money now or money later. So if you're interested in buying turnkey investment properties, send us an email, info@nowfortomorrow.club. We have a tremendous flow. We actually just 3 weeks ago, we turned on the deal faucets. We had slowed down, focusing on larger, but with this pandemic coming, it is the perfect time, not coming, but the government funding and support is slowing down and will be stopping at some point. When it does stop, things are going to start, people who didn't follow the golden rules of real estate are going to be feeling the pressure. And that's a huge opportunity to help them and help us in the process to continuously buy right. And so we're going to have tremendous deal flow, too much more than what we can handle. So if you're interested on being part of that flow, send us an email, let us know what you're looking for, and we'll see if we can just, be the matchmakers to your perfect investment. So, I mean, there's a bunch of deals. I stopped updating this because it's just this big thing. It takes too much time to just change it. There's a tremendous amount of deals. And look at the price points. You have some in the $50,000 range, and then you have whole mobile home parks for $500,000. Okay, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any kinds of sense, but it's there. So imagine doing the BRRRR strategy for infinite returns and then compounding that with the 12 mathematics of real estate. Remember that training we did? If you didn't, go check it out or go into the library of the Now for Tomorrow Club, because you can blow all this up if you're following these. We touched on some of these, like the golden rules we talked about, the $100 minimum cash flow rule. We talked about some of these, but not all of them. So imagine putting them all together all at once, how much you can do. And then you're investing in real estate, which has these 9 powers. Now you can see why we're excited, why JK exists, why hopefully you're excited, why so many people are excited to be part of real estate investing, building wealth, growing a legacy, and ultimately giving back in a much higher and larger way than they could have by not investing or by staying, you know, in their job for 45 years. So that's what it is. So as always, we have a free giveaway for you if for the first 10 people, free discovery call. But ultimately, if you want to call with me, a free discovery call, my time is, it's valued quite highly, but I will give 15 minutes to anybody who's determined enough to put this in their browser URL and type it out, and let's see if 15 minutes can change your life. Wouldn't that be awesome, right? You attend this 1-hour training, and then a follow-up 15 minutes, and that completely changes your life. Wouldn't that be worth the 15 minutes? It's worth it for me to give that 15 minutes to you. Let's put it that way. So I still believe that people who are able and willing to dream should continue getting their miracle. So Amanda actually spoke at the beginning. I'm glad she was there. Not a partner graduation, but a partner deal. And wrapping this up, woo-wee, we're having fun. The USA workshop is coming, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever before. I can't reveal too much right now. I'm under oath, but it's exclusively for foreign nationals looking to invest in U.S. real estate. It's all of the previous USA workshop, which is a full 2-day, all of the foundations you need, from the tax specialist to the corporate structure to where to find deals, who to talk to, how to talk to them. The whole 9 yards is there. And there's a pre-training and a post-training that you can do at home. And there's going to be a huge value add that you are going to hear about shortly. So stay tuned on the JK Deal Reveals. That's probably where we're going to hear about it first. So it's the same link as you came on today, which is the n4t.club/free training. There's going to be something amazing for you to basically guarantee your first deal in the US real estate. Okay, if you're willing and you're motivated, it's basically guaranteeing, because all of the resources and tools are going to be available for you. So this is the USA workshop. You can if you go here now, you can get the recording of a past one, but you will also be registered for the next one coming, which will also have the value add attached to it. And that's how you get started. So I'll invite you in 2 minutes to join the Now for Tomorrow Club Premium Mastery Call, which is a facet of our premium membership. It's $1. Okay, you get a trial period of 1 month for $1. Don't miss your chance. We're getting started in 2 minutes, which is a full other hour where people are bringing their deals, bringing their questions to me, and I'm answering them for everyone. So it's basically one-on-one coaching with me, all right, in a group setting. So you just have to wait your turn a little bit, but everyone's questions are helping everyone. So it's just an amazing opportunity. So how do you join the Now for Tomorrow Club? Hurry up, because we're starting in 2 minutes. n4t.club/NFTC. Now for Tomorrow Club. So that's how you do it. So it involves the Premium Mastery Call every week, an hour with me. It involves an e-course which lays out the steps on every step you need to take up to buying your first property. Oh wow. Okay. Free. It comes with the $1 trial. Okay. Just that alone is a couple $100. There's the private Facebook group. We have a resource center with scripts and templates, and just go get the lifestyle. We're giving you everything, or as much as we can. Everything that we think we can give, we give. So our next training next month, we're going to talk about small multifamily and big cash flow. That's what we're going to be talking about next month, October 22nd. Mark your calendar. We don't have time, I didn't think so, to ask questions today. So join us on the Now for Tomorrow Club, n4t.club/NFTC. Sending you lots of love. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed today's training. Hope it wasn't too fast. But as always, I want you, and JK wants you to do now for tomorrow for the lifestyle you deserve. Go get your miracle.